up quick too with the, because I got this from two people, friends of mine who bought boots at the show. They did say that it was in the, I don't know if it's a contract or just what the whatever the paper they had to sign for their boots, that they have to be actively buying, selling, and trading. Like it is not a space to be used for. Is that true? Is that actually in the paperwork? If you buy a booth on the floor?
I haven't read the paperwork since the first round, but what is the implication that you're drawing from that? Help me understand.
So, yeah. So, and this is, by the way, this is actually, I hope it's true. So, I've often vented. I have a real tendency to just be a psychopath. I get this little thought in my head, and I just scream about it.
Stop it.
You wouldn't understand. It's a high school guy. You wouldn't get it in college, boy.
I went to high school.
Take your witticism and shove
You
it.
can't go to college without high school, bro.
You know,
As someone not going to college, you probably didn't know that.
Lance, give me the word for next Thursday so I can cuss at it. Just, so we go to some of these card shows. The National is a good example. You go, and a third of the tables are, hey, we're advertising something. Or hey, here's a couple cards, but it's really their advertiser service. It seemed like, at least from the guys who I've talked to at booths here, that if you're on the field, the expectation is you are to be actively there buying, selling, and trading. Is that?
That's the goal. And
okay.
because again, what we're seeking is engagement. And I mean between the people that are there, the brands, the dealers that are there, and the fans, right? Because we want people to feel engaged. And I think, the first show I walked into, I was meeting a bunch of fanatics who hadn't even, accepted their offer yet, but they wanted me to come look at something. So I went. I got there before all the fanatics people, and I didn't even know what to do. I made a couple laps, and I was like, I don't know what to do, and these folks were not, they weren't unfriendly, don't misunderstand me, but they didn't know what to do with me. It's not like I had a sign on that said I'm ignorant. I mean, maybe my face says that all the time, but they didn't know what to do with me either. So I think what we're trying to encourage is be open to the idea that there are going to be people walking past you that are not your customer. They're not anybody's customer around you. So how are you going to engage them? How can you make them a customer? We'll bring them in. We'll even try and educate and onboard them and make them feel comfortable. But then, what can you do to help engage them into the hobby,
Sure.
I like that.
I have just one more question on a different aspect. You guys will throw it back. Okay.
Yeah, because I just had a few mailbag questions.
Oh, well, let me finish up
Okay.
on the. I am very curious about the athletes, and maybe some of this is already published in public, and I haven't paid attention. The headline is, hey, Brady's going to be here, Durant's going to be here, which is great. What is the role of the athlete? Is the role, and does that change amongst them? Are some guys going to be signing, some guys speaking? I don't need to break down everyone, but kind of generally, what's the thought there?
Yeah, we kind of have it probably broken into three categories, if you will. There's the traditional kind of signing and photo op that you guys are accustomed to, right? Every show has it, it's there. We'd like to make it a slightly elevated experience where instead of, we'd like to make it slightly more based. Could it be digital signage? Can it be a little more clear and kind of customer friendly about how you go get that signature photo? That's pretty standard. The second is, all of the leagues will have pretty significant presence at the show. Are they bringing in some athletes that maybe are there to talk about announcements they're going to make or specific initiatives they've got going on? And then the third is, and kind of the more maybe compelling, is people that are there, athletes that are there to go on stage and to tell a story, to engage in a conversation, to do a live podcast. We've got a stage dedicated to just doing live podcasts. And so, we're thinking about pairing interesting athletes up, or athletes with particular entertainers or kind of pop culture personalities that are also fans. So, taking a bunch of great Knicks throughout history, and then thinking about perhaps a couple of, very well-known, massive Knick fans that then want to come up and engage in the conversation and facilitate it. So we're trying to not just have, an athlete up there saying, it was like when I won the Super Bowl, it was really awesome. Let me tell you how awesome it was. We kind of heard that story, but if we can hear more inspirational or tangential or culture or entrepreneurialism, inspirational things, the story behind a moment in their career, those are the things, and then pair them up with compelling, media personalities and pop culture personalities, that's a really different take on it. I'll give you one example, actually, that I thought was pretty awesome. If you recall, the NBA launched something last year called NBA Con. and they had dream and joy together. That's awesome, right? It's two athletes, but talk about two sort of athletes that are kind of have sort of shared, DNA from their story, like, and passing of the torch, or, it's just such a cool moment, right? Like, those are the kind of moments we're hoping to create on this massive stage.